Okay, welcome. It is a Friday. It's a freaky, freaky Friday on a September 4th. And here we are barreling through the week and coming into a weekend, a holiday weekend, going into Labor Day. And that kind of just officially is the, well, not officially. It's the non-official end of the summer, really. Yeah. Jay Parker, Brian Freeman, myself, Greg Holland back in Studio Kitchen, Colorado today. A big show for you. And what you're seeing is a photo that's on the screen of, and we've talked about it, you guys, what's going to happen when the rubber meets the road with a lot of these leases? What's it going to look like? Is it going to mean your stuff's going to be out in the street? And literally what we are seeing here is in the landmark. You know, that's in the DTC, the landmark. That is this gentleman who we'll introduce to the show right now. His name is Wayde Jester. And Wade's joining us from Boulder, Colorado at his other Zeal Food location. And we want to welcome you to the Modern Eater Show today. And thank you so much for taking the time, Wayde.
Thank you, guys. Happy to be here. I certainly didn't expect what happened this week to unfold the way it did, but here we are.
I can't say that I have seen this as of yet. And we have to believe that this is COVID related. I'm looking at a photo of posted on your Zeal Foods DTC Facebook page, and I'll just let you take it from there. Please describe us what we're seeing. And this, you may not be able to see it, but this is the photo with the tower building in the background and the cones in the parking lot.
Yep.
With a lot of goods stacked up. Is he frozen or is he posing?
Wouldn't you know, I think he's frozen.
So this was the...
Okay, we want to be able to hear you loud and clear. You broke out there for about 5-10 seconds. I'm glad you're back with us. I'll just reinstate this. Wayde Jester here with us. The photo should still be up on the stream right now from Zeal Food, the DTC location. We're showing you a photo that was posted off of the Zeal Foods Facebook page, and Wayde Jester, the owner-operator of Zeal Foods, is on here to describe what we're looking at here.
So we came into work on Wednesday morning, and the scene that unfolded in the back parking lot was basically all the contents of our restaurant had been moved, bagged or rolled out of there, and it took up about 12 parking spaces in the back. Our back door is about 30 yards just to the south of that picture, and we were shocked. We had received a notice from the sheriff's department to be out of the space by Monday. We hadn't received any direct contact by the landlord, and we were well behind on rent. Actively trying to talk about a path forward, some sort of rent that was tied to the amount of sales we were doing amid the COVID crisis. I mean, our revenues, like I'm sure most restaurants, were impacted severely since March, and we were, in there fighting every day with our small team to stay in business and to keep our staff employed and keep to stay in this community that we were getting more and more awareness of from over the last year and a half that we've been open. So just to back up a little bit, we were Zeal opened in the landmark in November of 2018. So we're about a year and a half in existence now, and we had our first. Typically most restaurants take a few years if they're going to be profitable and they're going to survive. It takes them a few years to get to that point. We finally turned a profit in January of this year, 2020, and matched our sales from last August. So things were looking great. And then And then COVID hit in March, and we had to shut down. And then we reopened, for curbside on a limited basis, and then eventually reopened for our mostly patio seating and socially distanced indoor dining. We stopped paying rent in March because we would have been out of business by April. We were operating at that narrow a margin, and opening restaurants is tough. And after burning through all our operating capital in the first year, we were really needing to turn a profit this year. By not paying rent for the last 5 months, we were able to keep the doors open. We also got some PPP money, not a lot, but we got a little bit of PPP money, and we're able to keep all of our staff hired during that time. And August, we just closed out the month of August, had our best month yet since COVID hit, but probably still doing about only 50% of the revenues, the top line sales that we would have in August had this whole pandemic not unfolded. So we were definitely in a pinch, and trying to request some concession from the landlord to give us some rent that was tied to sales, something that we could achieve even if business were to slow down in the fall a little bit again. We don't know what's going to happen when people are driven more indoors, and what the impacts are going to be. So, but in talking, the landlord was not willing to negotiate on anything going forward. They just wanted to be paid for what we owed for the last 5 or 6 months, plus some utilities that were older than that. And I mean, the whole I think amount was somewhere starting to approach to $60,000 to $70,000 in payments, and we just didn't have that cash to pay that out. But we were willing to chip away at it over time, and we were willing to stay open and continue to pay some rent. As I said, we just needed to be able to be able to make payroll each week, and pay our vendors, and just eke out a break even. I mean, we didn't need profits, but just a break even number. And I never imagined that the solution would be to vacate the space, but that seems to be their choice, to send us out, to close the doors on Zeal permanently there, and deal with releasing that space. And I can't imagine how long that's going to take. I don't see the business sense in kicking out a tenant who is willing to pay something. I know I'm going to get pursued, by attorneys now to pay what was owed, plus probably the lease payments going forward. But it's a crying shame to send a community asset like Zeal out into the street, and it's heartbreaking to see that. But we've had some amazing support by our friends and family. People are cheering us on, and it was motivating me to want to speak out about this. And until that space is leased, there's an opportunity for us to move back in there and resume operations. So I feel like that landlords like ours, while they're acting within the bounds of the law, I don't think they're really considering the impact they have on the community when something like this happens.
Wow. Okay. Lot to take in, and I just want to do a quick recap. I took notes throughout that because I think we can have a great conversation here. This is the voice of Wayde Jester and the owner-operator of Zeal Foods, 2 locations, Boulder and now the the ousted location from the DTC and Landmark. I will tell you that we reached out to Sperry Real Estate. I did not. Jay Parker did, and they did not have any comment on the record comment. What I can tell you is that we will be seeing a lot of this in the near future as we round into the fourth quarter of this year and heading into 2021. This tenant landlord dispute thing is going to be coming up early and often. What we're seeing here is a gentleman that's been in the space for 1.5 years, many more years left on the lease, and I've just got to jump in and ask you a couple of questions. First of all, you obviously recognize that landlords have their bills to pay as well, and other folks that they're debtors that they need to pay.
For sure.
Yeah. And also, I was wondering about the space. Were you the first in 1.5 years ago? Did you build that space out to your specs, or did you take over a location from somebody else?
We did. We were not the first occupant of that space, but we changed it over from an art gallery, which it had been since Landmark opened about 10 years ago, into a restaurant. So we invested in significantly in had to plumb and provide the electrical and install the ventilation system, and it's about as expensive. It's just about as expensive as it gets in terms of opening a restaurant.
Wayde, so you feel that you've not only offered upgrades to the place, but you offer some good value with the Zeal brand as well. You're better there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
You're better there than not.
We built this space specifically to operate Zeal, and anyone else that comes into that restaurant is going to have to change things around, which is going to require more investment and more time in order to to make that space suit their needs. But we built out this space as having learned from our first Boulder restaurant about exactly what we wanted the layout to be. We included a beautiful dining room that was accommodating both to business lunches and date nights out. So it was a warm atmosphere. We had a nice bar. We had a roll-up garage door that we put in to kind of create that open air feel that I think is so important in Colorado. But we had challenges there too. We were an inline location, and a lot of the big successful restaurants at Landmark have corners. We had no highway presence, nothing on the marquee out there to show that we were there. So we really had to build our business organically, which takes time, and try to do it one customer and one referral at a time.
Absolutely.
We were on that. It's sad because I am not a victim, but it is sad because we were definitely on the right track prior to COVID, and we were able to meet our obligations, and this did severely impact our abilities to operate. But you can't ignore the fact that we got unlucky in having to partner with a landlord that just is not interested in resolving things to a compromise. I can't say anything more than that.
We're going to show the photo. We're showing the photo.
To unceremoniously kick us to the curb like that. It's just, it was beyond shocking.
Okay.
Surreal.
Wayde, and I know everything's raw right now, and again, that's why we appreciate you being here with us on the stream today. Your business, you said, has been running at very small margins. In March and April, you said you had about a month leeway, so going into COVID, it just wasn't reasonable for you to pay 5 months' worth of rent. So to be clear, you haven't paid 5 months' worth of rent, but you have paid your rent every single month leading up to this since you've been in your lease.
Yeah. That's the facts. Those are the facts.
Those are the facts.
We even this is on us as well, but we even paid about 7 months of rent, 100% of our rent and expenses before we opened, because our build out took. We had some construction issues, and our build out took longer than expected, and we made good, and it depleted our reserves drastically, but in the interest of fulfilling our obligations, we owned it and paid rent from the moment it became due until this March, and then it just became too. I mean, we would have been closed, as I said, within 30 days.
Tell me about your pivoting in order. You see a lot of restaurants having to change up their models a little bit. They've gotten patio variances, that they've increased their patio business. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing during COVID to try and get a little bit of traction to maintain some businesses? Did you get a patio variance, first of all?
We weren't able to get a patio variance because the street outside of our restaurant space, of our existing patio, it had we had a small barrier wall, and then there was a sidewalk which we couldn't obstruct, and then there was the city street, which we also could not obstruct. We were just out of bad luck. We weren't able to have access to the patio outside of Zeal's front doors into the street because of the needs of the city of Greenwood Village to have rights of way and for fire and access by emergency services. So it just wasn't on the table for us. But honestly, I don't know that would have made enough of a difference, because what we're really fighting is a shift in the comfort that consumers feel going out to eat, and I think because we tend to be our restaurant is a healthier choice restaurant. I hate to use the term healthy restaurant because it sounds like the food's boring, but it's really not. We just really try and cater to a crowd that's more thoughtful about what they eat, and I think our consumer demographic is reluctant to take risks in dining out, and so a lot of them are more self-sufficient and eating at home. We've made, in order to try and be relevant to people that want the safety of home, we've been able to do online ordering, curbside pickup the entire time. We've utilized Grubhub and Uber Eats to allow people to have the convenience of having the food delivered, and then we've created we've been accommodating to any needs for distancing and for patio seating that we could. And it really wasn't, for us, I don't think it was a capacity problem. We had enough seating, and we had enough, we had the right elements in place to work. But, because we're a new business and because we're still getting discovered, I was shocked, during this whole unfolding of COVID operations, how many new customers we were finding. But it's just, then I'd see some of our returning customers, and I'd say, "Man, we haven't seen you in a while." And they said, "Yeah, this is the first time we've been out to eat in months." And that's the shift in consumer behavior that makes it so hard to operate.
Okay, lots to unpack here. Wait, I want to do this, and I want to let the other guys in here because I think they might have a couple of questions. And I put a poll up on the stream. Should Zeal have been literally? Well, I spelled it wrong. I should go back. It says, should Zeal have been kicked to the curb from what you were hearing. I just want to make the distinction. You said Wednesday you came into work, and the photo that we were showing is how you were greeted. Am I to understand that Tuesday when you left work, everything was in place, and the next morning this is kind of something that was done in the shadows of the night?
Yeah. I mean, it was done early in the morning, before the center really comes alive. The only there's only 2 businesses that are open for dining that early, and but yeah, we came in and it was done. We locked it up on Tuesday night in the usual state, and came in the morning, and the locks had been changed, and everything that could be moved without a professional plumber or electrician, including all of the shelves, were just scraped and bagged, and broken glass and broken plates and just carnage. Just like the walk-in and the freezer were just emptied out and thrown in bags into the hot blacktop.
Were you able to gain access back into the location? No. So the doors were locked. No. Your stuff was all okay.
Locked out.
And it's removed from the parking lot at this point, right?
Right. So then we scrambled yesterday to try and recover whatever we could. Brought some food up to Boulder, and rented a storage unit nearby, and rented a U-Haul, and started and my my friends and family chipped in, and we had some amazing people that showed up to lend a hand, just to kind of help us buy pizza, pour cold water, organize parking spots that were out there into groups of materials, so we knew what we throw stuff away. And it was an incredible effort by a small team, but we, in about a day and a half, we got it all cleaned up and stored or disposed of.
Wayde Jester here with Zeal Foods DTC. How are you on time? I'd like to do this. Just break away for just a couple of minutes to hear from our local sponsors. But I'd like to come back, and I'm sure Brian Freeman has a couple of questions, and maybe Jay Parker as well. But just an unfortunate situation that I think we're going to see a lot more of. I think that in your mind, just by listening to you, that you have some sort of amiable agreement that you would like to have or reach with Sperry Real Estate, which, by the way, is not a local real estate company. I believe they're out of California. Would you mind coming back and having that unfettered, unencumbered, uninterrupted, unfiltered message that you can give to Sperry Real Estate of how you would like to see this outcome resolved?
Sure.
I'd appreciate that. Okay, we'll break away. We'll come right back. Also, I don't know if you've seen the weather or not, Brian, right?
Oh, yeah, I watch it every day, babe. You know me.
The weather is very interesting here in Colorado, and very Colorado-like, although I really worry about a lot of things. If it's going to be Saturday 98, Sunday 96, Monday 91, how in the world is it going to be 39 degrees as a high on Tuesday with snow in the forecast? And that's in Denver. Then Wednesday, bouncing back to a balmy 53, and Thursday 64, Friday 73, and resuming fall weather after that. Not hugely out of the normal, but what does that do to our food chain?
Yeah, it could have some major impacts, although, one of the things, man, there's not another profession in the world you can be wrong 90% of the time and still get a paycheck.
So I told you, we are on the eve of Brian and I heading out, and we're going to cover some food, beverage, and agriculture in Southwest Florida, Colorado style. We're going in real safe, right?
Yep.
We're wrapping it up, in other words. We are going to go into Florida. What? Don't look at me like that, Jay.
What are you talking about?
Putting my mask on and heading into Florida. All right. It is a Friday, a September 4th. We've got a really interesting story. This is making news right here, breaking on the Modern Eater Show with Wayde Jester and Zeal Foods. There's obviously two sides to every story. Sperry Real Estate did not want to talk in very corporate fashion, right? We're seeing if we can come to some kind of amiable agreement right here on the Modern Eater Show. We'll send that message back out to them. It is a freaky Friday. What does that mean? It means that we're going to finish up here with Wayde Jester, and then we're going to talk to some farmers, and we're going to talk to Calvin Bailey from Stubborn Roots, and then we're going to talk to Julie Maroney from Petrocco Farms. What is this dip in temperatures going to do? And I'll take Brian's seat, and Brian's going to take mine, and we're going to do a Freaky Friday right here on the Modern Eater Show. We'll be back with Wayde Jester. That's next. The Modern Eater Show continues. This gentleman, Wayde Jester, just seems to be, this is our first acquaintance with him. I know you've known him for a while, haven't you, Brian?
I've known Wayde for several years. Ran a great restaurant up in Boulder.
Zeal Food. Okay, my kind of food. I like
Zeal,
it.
actually, it's Zeal Food for Enthusiasts.
Food for enthusiasts. Yes. And that's what it should be. Okay, Wayde, we told you we wanted to do this, and we were going to come back. I think it's just a very unfortunate situation all the way around. You were saying that the communication hasn't been the greatest at Sperry Real Estate, and maybe this could be resolved with communication. I don't know. What do you think? Where do you think it's going to go? Where would you like it to land? You take the floor. Just talk about how you would like to see this get resolved. Would you, Wayde?
I mean, I'm an optimist. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't be in the restaurant business unless I was optimistic. I sort of feel like until somebody else moves into that space, we're the best operator to run it. We're the probably the best opportunity to turn that space into a revenue producing space for the owners. And we're more than willing to come to the table and discuss a reasonable path forward. In this kind of climate, I think you have to, if you care to try and keep somebody in business and keep your real estate producing some tangible benefits for you, other than just being an empty shell sitting there waiting, the angel to step in. We have to tie our rental payments to production, and until COVID is in the rearview mirror, until there's a universally successful solution to whether that's whether it's really effective treatments of the disease or a vaccine that prevents it from spreading. I think that that the restaurant industry, the food and beverage and hospitality industry, hotels, we've all been zeroed out by this pandemic, and to maintain an empty space in a property like Landmark, I don't see how that's beneficial to the landlord. I would think that if I were in their shoes, I would do anything to keep the people in there. And I would say, forget about the past. We got to move forward. What can you pay? What can we reasonably require in terms of rental from you? And how do we measure that and track it and adjust it going forward so that we can step it up as your business starts to improve, or retract if something cataclysmic happens and we have to again button up. We don't know what the future holds. We're in uncharted territory, and I think that this requires communication, and requires a willingness to accept that this is a real economic issue, and for restaurants to come out of this at all looking like they used to, opposing parties need to start working together. And I've talked to other operators in the Landmark, and the only thing
we lost him right at
the point. Cliffhanger.
Commercial has 1% reduction, right? That's the concessions I've heard. Nothing or a little something. So, it's just like, to me, there's just no way as an independent operator I'm going to survive that.
Wade, rewind a minute. We lost you right when you said, I've talked to some other owner-operators in the Landmark. Could you continue right from there?
Oh yeah, I talked to some other operators in Landmark, and I heard from them that Sperry Commercial only offered two concessions that I've discovered. One was nothing, and the other one, which is not a concession, but was the response to the request, and then the other one was 20%. So I think everything's sort of falling between the guy that got 20% was one of the other smaller businesses, and I just laughed at that because 20% reduction in rent, could help us if we were suffering something around a 10 to 20% reduction in sales. But to have a 70 to 80% reduction in sales for 3 months, and then, to be hitting some sort of operating stabilization point at about 50% of sales is just, if you're trying to hit anything near the mark of rent and economics around operating a restaurant pre-pandemic, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't pencil out.
You're about to see the daisy chain effect as I asked you the question of, don't you believe your landlord has somebody that they have to pay as well? And obviously the bankers would nod their heads yes. And I think that this needs to be more of a call to on a federal level of what we're seeing here and what we're about to see, because that daisy chain effect will take place. And this is ground level. When there is somebody's business in a parking lot, that means something's broken right now. Yeah. And we're talking to Wayde Jester. We're going to end this conversation, but I have to tell you, Wayde, I have to believe, and I've got some other media friends myself, I'm going to send this over to Fox 31 News. We'll get to the bottom of really what's going on, but I think more or less of you stepping to the forefront and not being afraid to tell your story, and also be very just gracious about and open. To have that smile on your face when the past few days have must just been very, very difficult for you and your team is a testament to what you do. So I'd like to leave on a positive note, as folks can still get your delicious food in Boulder. Can you talk about what you are doing and what you are able to do right now, and Wayde, and leave us on that positive note going into the weekend?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I feel. I mean, this was a bad day in a wonderful life, and I'm so lucky to have the the support of my team of employees and my family and friends, and it's when you go through when you go through moments like this, I think it's so enriching to recognize that the depth of people's feelings and the extent to which they'll go to lend a hand. It's just awesome. But bad couple of days, but I'm here in Boulder right now, and we are open for business, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the east end of Boulder, right off about a block away from the Google campus, a block east of the Pearl Street Whole Foods. And we've been you guys still there?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
Welcome back.
Calling me. Did I lose you?
No, we heard everything you were saying. We just couldn't see it. So you're talking about where people can find you, and just continue on. I really want to hear.
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick tour. I'm standing on the patio of restaurant here in Boulder. We've got this awesome covered patio that I'm really looking forward to welcoming the fall weather, because we've got some heaters here, and we're working on a fire pit down on this end. We haven't even opened the inside yet, because it's been such a great opportunity for outdoor dining and we have lots of seats, and so we're open and and ready to welcome in our fans. I hate to have people have to drive up from DTC to come join us here, but if they can make a weekend out of it in Boulder or some other occasion. There's no football games this season, but we've got capacity. We've got a great team here.
It's like a beautiful place, Wayde.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, listen, best of luck to you. We'd love to do a follow-up with you as the days and weeks go on. But the best of luck to you, and you seem like a resilient guy that's, you said you're an entrepreneur, so you know the ebb and flow, that's for sure.
For sure. Well, thanks for guys. Thanks for taking an interest and listening to the story, and I appreciate what you do, and glad to be a new fan of your program.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you, Wayde. Tell Chelsea I said hello.
We hope something excellent comes from your appearance today, and really hope that you can get back up and operating again. Thanks, Wayde.
Thank you.
That's Wayde Jester right there, Zeal Food.